Hey, this is Stemage from Metroid Metal, Steven Universe, and Viking Guitar Live, and you're listening to The Budget Arcade.
Hello gamers and welcome to Budget Arcade, a free-to-play gaming podcast to help you navigate through the growing realm of free-to-play games. I'm Scott.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Elliot.
And welcome to episode number 37. Just to recap, we play a free-to-play game each week and then we review it. Elliot, what was this week's game?
We played Chess Rush. Man, that's a hard one for me.
Two of us are drunk.
Only wine drunk, so it doesn't really count, right? Chess.
I'm drunk off White Claw.
So ooh, what flavor?
Hydrated.
Or what,
I'm just kidding. I don't actually have any White Claw. It's too expensive. They only sell it in like 14 packs.
I've never had White Claw, but it also doesn't interest me at all.
It's not great.
No.
Anyway, what game did we play this week?
Well, I'm not going to say it right again, but it's called Chess Rush. It was released on July 4th of 2019 by Tencent. It's available on iOS and Android devices.
Good old Tencent.
Hey, Tencent makes some good stuff. I've been playing a MOBA made by them, and it's good.
Yeah, they're mobile PUBG. They're Call of Duty
so
mobile.
I think they're actually more publishers than they are developers.
I think that's true, too.
Because the other game we played that was made by Timmy.
Yeah,
was
actually
was published by Tencent. And there's a MOBA on mobile called Arena of Valor, which is both published by Tencent and I think developed by Teamy, but
I think they're like the Alphabet, where Google is Google, but it's owned by Alphabet kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of them.
Gameplay.
All right, so gameplay. I will be talking for the rest of the podcast, just me, because this is one of my favorite games. It is a auto battler in the vein of Dota Underlords and blanking on it. What is it? Teamfight Tactics.
There you go.
You have a 8x8 board, Scott?
I want to say it's the exact same as any other chessboard.
Yeah.
Like as far as the number of squares.
I don't know, but that's how big your board is. And you have a bench of the same size, except just one line, so you can have up to 8 pieces on your bench. Good Lord. All right. All three of us are drunk. So all right. How do I describe this? I've done this once before with Dota Underlords.
I thought you had this, Jeff.
I want to do the game justice. So as you start the game, you face off against 7 other opponents. So it's a 8-player game. And each round starts with a store of 5 pieces that you spend mana on, as opposed to gold like in other games. And it follows pretty much the same rules as any other auto chess game that you've played. You level up to add more pieces on the board, so you start off at level 1. In this game, it's different than others because you start off at level 2. So it actually skips that first round because, let's face it, you're going to win that round no matter what you do. So in this game, though, it goes right to round 2. So you have your level 2 and you can put 2 pieces on, and then you level to 3, you put 3, and so on and so forth, all the way up to 10.
I've actually seen people lose that first round.
Did they have any piece on the board?
Well, see, here's the thing about this. If you don't buy a piece or pick a piece in the first or second round, it will automatically purchase one and throw it on the board for you.
You can turn that off in the settings. So
so I didn't have that off in the settings. So there was one point I wanted to save my mana, and didn't want to purchase a piece because I had like some pieces that I had already wanted to start leveling up, and it auto purchased a piece for me. I mean, luckily though, you can sell it back for the same price, but I was like, I didn't want it to do that.
Right. I haven't had that do that to me, but you can turn off the auto where it automatically fills any space on your board. If you like, let's say you're level 6 and you have 5 pieces, you can turn that off where it won't put that 6th piece in. Yeah, anyway, so as you go through, you round robin play other players, and the last team standing wins, the last player standing wins. You buy pieces with different classes and race. So in this game you have dragon and rider and
there's 9, I think, if I'm not mistaken, classes to choose from. Does that sound right? Yeah, 9 different. I think 9 different classes and 53 heroes, and that's from their fandom wiki.
Okay, so there's probably 9 classes, but there's more races.
Yes.
Than that. Well, not than that, but so like you can have hunters, and there's an elf hunter and a goblin hunter, and a cyborg hunter, and so as you put these pieces on your board, the unique pieces will combine and give you synergies that benefit your team during battles with creep rounds, which are CPU played characters. You also gain equipment that you can attach to your team to boost them in different ways. That's pretty much the whole of the gameplay. If you've played an auto battler, you pretty much know what to expect here.
I find them to be really similar. I've only played Underlords as my only other auto battler, but it handles very similarly. So if you understand that, you'll understand auto chess pretty quickly, I think.
Oh yeah, I agree. And I mean, I feel that I was better equipped to play this game because of how we played Underlords.
I agree with that too.
And how we learned to play it.
But I think auto chess, it did a better job of teaching you how to play in the beginning than Underlords did. Underlords basically just kind of lets you figure it out by yourself, where auto chess kind of helps you a little
chess,
bit.
You mean
chess rush?
Chess rush, yeah. Sorry.
I will agree. I think this, one of the reasons that I kind of stick with this, because there's a lot of auto battlers on mobile now. Then the reason that this is the one I go back to and play and take seriously is it's just so clean. Like, the presentation is great. The graphics are the best I've seen on an auto battler on mobile. All the characters look unique and colorful. It sounds good. The voice acting's pretty good throughout, with exceptions.
Yeah, there's some exceptions there for sure.
Yeah, like the witch doctor sounds awful. It sounds like someone just ran their voice through a filter, but there are others that sound great. And then the announcer that announces your synergies, I love. So if you get like 2 riders, it'll say 2 riders, and he's got a deep voice. And then when you actually max out a synergy, he's like, whoa, 6 riders. And it just adds something to the game. It's just punchy. And everything's just clear. Like, what you do and what's happening is just clear to me. And that's why.
The other thing, too, is if it isn't clear to you, it pops up with a, here, click this to understand more about, this thing. Mm-hmm. So it does do a very good job of that. It's very user-friendly, which is something I liked a lot about it.
Jeff, what was your favorite units to use when you play this game?
When I play this, it used to be Sword Dancer because she was overpowered, but they have raised her. I don't know that I have a favorite unit. I love running Riders because they're so versatile.
Okay, so Riders. No, I didn't mean like a specific unit.
Oh, yeah. Riders, because you can
class or
you can do a lot with Riders.
Okay, what about you, Elliot? Did you find one you liked the most?
I feel like I used a lot of Riders because I felt like their bonus was really easy to attain. And I don't know if that was just my strategy.
They have a 2, 4, 6, so you get a bonus at 2, a bonus at 4, and a bonus at 6. And the other thing about Riders is they pretty much combo with just about anything else you want to do.
I found my strategy to just be whatever units were on my map the first time. I kind of stuck with a lot of those.
And see, as you get further into the ranks, you actually have to do something similar to that, because a lot of times you're not given the opportunity to build the synergies that you want to, and you have to go with what's there available for you. And I noticed that a lot of players, they go for certain synergies, and that takes away from the pool that you have to be able to pull from, and so you can't do those exact same synergies. The one I really liked was the Druids, because of their ability. So if you have two Druids, two different types of Druids, it makes it where you only need 2 of each specific Druid to star it up. So say you've got, 2 different Druids.
And we should say
and
real
then
quick,
get a matching pair.
because we didn't go over it, is what Scott's talking about is you level your pieces by collecting sets of 3, and that makes them a 2-star unit, which doubles their HP and damage. And then when you get 9 units, it becomes a 3-star, and that triples that output.
Yes, and so the Druids, their special ability, whenever you have 2 separate types of Druids, if you get a matching pair for them, they will 2-star into that without the 3rd unit. And then if you get 4 separate types of Druids, you can 3-star those Druids with only a matching pair as well.
A matching pair of 2 stars.
Correct.
Yep. And I want to give you a little tip.
You only end up using a total of 4 of each Druid to do it.
Right. And the Druids are nice that way. So, like, if you're running elves and Druids pair nicely.
Yes, they do. Because, there's, 3 or 4 Druids that are also elves, which was, perfect.
Yeah. And if you're running, beasts, there's a lot of beast Druids. And the other thing about Druids that's great is you don't need to have them on your board to get that synergy. You can leave them on your bench and have that synergy.
Exactly.
And here's a tip, Scott. I don't know if you noticed this, but Witch Doctors are 1-cost units. And if you level them with the Druid synergy, they become valued at 3. So you can sell it off for a profit.
Oh, nice. No,
so what I'll do is if I've got a little extra money and I see Witch Doctors, I'll just keep them on my board. And then eventually a Druid will pop up. I'll buy it for a sec, combine them, sell it off, and then sell off the other unit and just make a little extra money on the side that way.
Yeah. So a strategy that I was also doing a lot of times, and I don't think it's very descriptive about this strategy. So say you've got a full bench, you've got a full map, but there's a unit that you need to buy to be able to combine to make it into another unit. If it won't let you buy the unit, what you can do is you can take a unit off your bench, put it onto the playing field, buy the unit, combine them, and then pull that extra unit back into your bench, and before the round starts, and you don't get you don't have that disability of not being able to purchase the unit that you need.
Yeah, you also need to be careful though, because it will sell a random unit if you don't have space on your bench and you have too many people on the board. So normally if you have space on your bench, it'll just pull a piece off and put it to your bench. But if you have a full bench and 10, 11 pieces on the board, it's going to sell one of them, and it's always the one you don't want sold. So if you're going to do that, move quickly.
Yes, exactly. But it's it's kind of more of an advanced tactic to be able to do that, because there's sometimes you just there's all the pieces on your bench you want to keep, and selling one of them is not going to be advantageous to you, but you want to star up that other unit, and the only way to do it is to purchase it outright and then star it together after that.
And I use a similar strategy if I'm rolling down. I'll throw a bunch on there and I'll just start rolling to buy stuff and hope to level it if it's getting late in the game.
Okay. Elliot, do you have anything else you want to add to it, the gameplay?
I played on iPad this week, and I felt that sometimes the controls of trying to grab a unit and put it to the board or put it where I wanted to was a little not accurate at times. But that was probably the only downside I felt when I was playing, was I felt that sometimes touching a unit didn't work the way I wanted it to, and moving it.
I agree. I had that on Android as well.
Yeah, and I play on Android, and I play a lot of this. I haven't had issues getting, maybe once or twice, moving a unit around, but the big thing is when assigning equipment, you can hit a piece of equipment, and it's got a recommended button, and sometimes I hit that recommended button, and it won't take. and I
Yes,
really
I
have
had
to
that
mash
too.
it, and then I'll miss a chance to get that piece, that equipment on one of my pieces. So that is definitely
Well, there's a way to like circumvent that too. If you actually select the piece and then go into your inventory and click on the inventory piece, it will add it to that specific unit.
right, and you can get around. If you do it the other way, you can only put it on recommended one. But if you pick your piece first and then click the equipment you want, you can do it that way. And the other thing that's good about this game, unlike a lot of other ones, I mean, Dota Underlords lets you do it, but some of the other big ones, you can't remove your equipment from pieces without selling them. But in this game, you can. You can remove all your equipment and rearrange it at any time.
Yes.
And one of the other things, like Elliot mentioned, that it is a much more user-friendly experience. The game does have recommended builds, and you can... I turn them off because it kind of annoys me because it'll recommend something I don't want to do.
I had to turn them off.
But if you're new to the game and you want to kind of know how builds work and what to aim for, it does help to use that to kind of get an idea.
You're absolutely right, because I used it the first like 3 or 4 days, and like I won every time, and I followed the what it like recommended to me, and I never lost. So it definitely was accurate.
Yeah. I sort of did that too in the beginning, but then there was like some builds that I couldn't do because people were taking the pieces I needed. So I had adjusted a little bit, and that's why Jeff saw me doing a lot of mage and cyborg combo in the beginning, because a lot of times that's all that was available to me, even though it was part of my recommended build as well.
You got to do cyborg hunters sometime. I did cyborg hunters like just my last game, I think. Oh, it shreds. It's so good.
Yeah, I believe it. What about there's different game modes as well that you can select. I think we should probably go over those. I don't know. I only played this week. I only played the ranked. I didn't play anything else.
Same. Yeah, I play ranked classic.
I don't know about you, Jeff.
Pretty much exclusively. Turbo mode is a much faster mode, and it does actually change the gameplay. The basic rules are there, but it's more about forcing that build that you want as opposed to kind of playing in a flexible way where you take what comes to you and build your build around what you get, whereas Turbo is more about really just forcing that build because the game moves so fast, and it's a shorter game session if you're playing on mobile. There is a new mode, Treasure something. I haven't really ventured out of Classic because I like the longer game mode. I like the time it takes to play it and the strategy of it. There's also sort of almost like a gambling section where you spend money to buy in and can get
the arena.
Yeah, you can get money back.
Yeah, the golden ticket arena or whatever.
You can get money back for placing. There's a practice, a bot mode. Like if didn't have Wi-Fi and you were on an airplane or something, you could play against bots.
I wanted to ask you about bots
With
because
the co-op mode as well.
I wanted to ask about bots because I know you've played a lot of these, and I felt like I was playing against bots a couple of times because I was just dominating where I know nothing of this game. And so, do you feel like there's a lot of bots in this game or not really?
No, I really don't.
No, not at all.
I think what happens, Elliot, is that you've spent a little bit of time playing Dota, and you know how to hit interest points. You know that you need to hit synergies, and you know how to 2 and 3 star. And when you first boot this game up, you're playing with brand noobs and who have maybe never played one before. So like if I pick up, I am expecting when Teamfight Tactics comes out on mobile, for my first 10, 15 games, I expect to be shredding people just because I know the rules of this genre. And as long as I stick to those, I'll do fine. But once I get further along, I'm going to need to learn the meta. I'm going to need to learn which builds work. Like one of the things that I like, that I think helps me, is that I know what units I need to be looking out for now. Like I've gotten so used, I know what characters are available and what synergies they have, and what I can do to kind of top off my roster. It just knowing those things from playing it really helps. And that's once you get that point, that's when it really clicks. But I haven't ran. The only time I've seen bots is when I went into bots mode.
Okay.
Yeah, and now I could be wrong. There could be bots, but the times where I don't get, like, there's several games where I finish dead last because I'm not getting the build I'm shooting for, and it just isn't going right. And I'm not hitting my 3-star or my 2 stars, and I just get shredded because everybody else plays that way, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah,
think
and so
there are
I
bots.
know the very first game that I played was apparently was a practice game, and actually when I went into the list of my so if you go into your character sheet, it shows you a list of all the games you played and what mode you were playing in. And the very first game I played was actually in practice mode. That was that first one I showed you guys.
Oh, okay.
And then everything after that was all in ranked,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just. And I've noticed that the further up I get in rank, the harder the players I'm facing are.
And that's how it should be. Like, and your strategy has to change. Like, I got out of
Yes.
the basic levels just by knowing how to hit interest points. And then I got out of the mid levels by learning how to make comps. What I would call the rule of 6 and 3. You want to fully complete one build or one synergy, like knights or warriors, and then you want to supplement with a 3 stack of another one, and then kind of fill in the gaps where you can on other synergies. And that kind of pushed me up into the bishop tier. But now in the bishop tier, I'm having to really work with managing my economy, making sure that, you know, there's times where I don't need to hit a synergy, where I just need to have another 2-star unit on there. So one thing you'll want to pay attention to, there are certain synergy buffs that buff your team or buff a particular race. So, for instance, knights and warriors, their synergy only buffs knights and warriors, whereas like goblins and undead, they give you a buff to your whole team, or in the example of undead, they debuff the opponent team. And so if you have 2 undead on your board, it does you no benefit to put a third on. But if you have 3 warriors
It's
on
not
your
till
board,
the fourth, I think you get, right?
right, at 4 you would get another undead. But if you have 3 warriors on your board, if you put a 4th warrior on, they're going to get that warrior bonus. Whereas if you put any other thing in there as opposed to a 3rd undead, you're still going to have the same level of undead effectiveness. And that's sort of the things that you learn and that I'm learning now. And I'm really actually starting to get where I'm positioning is starting to matter. I noticed that this one guy kept, he was doing a lot of AoE damage, and the way he had his team is his front line would block mine in, and then his back line was all mages, and they were just being able to do this AoE damage with everyone grouped together, so I had to split them out. So I had 2 units that I moved up front on the left side, and then I had my back line in the back right corner, and so his front line jumped to the left, they attacked there, and my back line was able to not get the AoE damage, and I was able to pull out a win. So I'm still learning things. I played a ton of this game, but there's just an impossible amount to learn, and we'll get into that when we hit replayability.
Yeah. So the co-op mode is you and a friend can play. I think you could do up to 4 players, right? With you.
There's a squad mode, which does 4. So, okay, you can queue up with up to 4 people in just about any mode. The exception being like ranked, you have to be kind of similarly ranked. So when Scott first turned on the game, I was in high knights and he was, just a pawn because he just got the game. We couldn't queue up in ranked, so we had to do co-op. So yeah, there are those modes as well.
Yeah, and the co-op, it was interesting because you put 2 of your pieces on the side of the board, on the left-hand side of the board, and your teammate gets to use those additional 2 pieces on their board every time they battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like we were running, one of the synergies is Punishers, which is sort of like an anti-mage if you've played Dota under Lords. And he had one of the Punishers. It's a 2, 2 gets you the first buff. So he had one Punisher and I had the other. So I threw it on each player gets to put 2 units in that space. and I put my other Punisher over there, so he only had to worry about getting one Punisher on the board to get the 2 Punisher bonus. So it's interesting. I'd like to play that more, but it was kind of tough.
I would too.
When the voice comms we couldn't quite get to work. I think it was more user error than the game. I'm saying on my part, but I think there's a ton of cool strategies you could do there if you can communicate and say, "Oh, you're going for Punishers. Well, I seem to be hitting Punishers, and let me go ahead and make sure I can get those stacked up and put them on the board for you." It opens up a lot of possibilities, but I don't tend to stray out of the ranked mode. So as you play, you gain XP, and they do seasons, similar to like Fortnite. And so like after season 1, I finished low bishop, and they started me back at night 1 for season 2. I imagine if I actually got up to like queen, it would dump me back down to bishop, and that sort of thing. So you gain XP and other things that we'll get into when we hit the paywall.
Yeah, and I think you have to place in the top 3 to gain XP. Is that correct?
Top 4.
Top 4.
Yeah,
okay.
so like
4,
if you're playing
you're
ranked,
gaining stuff.
Yeah, if you're playing ranked, as long as you hit the top 4, you're going to get something. If you hit the bottom 4, you're going to lose something. And I think it's actually pretty even. Like if you're number 1, you get 100 like ranked points. If you're 8th, you lose 100. So, but if you're good at the game, you're going to climb, and it seems pretty fair to me.
Well, heck, my first real game, I think I progressed to like pawn 1 after the first game. Like I had leveled that far up to it, so, and that's because I just won it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if it.
What did you end the week at, Elliot?
What's the rank beside pawn or the next one?
Rook.
Yeah, I got to rook 1.
Mm-hmm.
I only played like a game or 2 a night, so I didn't play a whole lot. But
you actually level faster at lower levels. So
okay.
I think it's like, I can't remember exactly, but I think it's like 60 points to level at pawn, 70 at bishop. Knights it's like 90, and it might be more than that. But at bishop it's like 130. So you one win won't get you a level like it will in the other modes.
Yeah, sure.
Ranks.
Which is how it should be, right? I mean, that's good level.
Right.
Paywall.
So there's 2 different currencies in this, but I don't think they are effective like most of these other games that have these 2 currencies, because you don't actually use one currency to buy the other.
Yes, you do.
One is a... Oh, you do?
Yeah, you can buy gold.
Oh, I see. I didn't find that section.
So there's something a little frustrating in this game that new players won't deal with. But I finished last season, and they had a board I wanted, and I could spend 1 million gold, and I was grinding and saving and grinding and saving.
Oh,
and
man. I like
the next season started, they took away the store, and they ended up having to put it back to appease people like me, but I'd already blown that money because I thought, oh, well, I can't buy it now. So they changed between season 1 and season 2 a lot. One of the things, there actually used to be a third currency, which was shards that you would spend on other particular items. But now I have these shards in my inventory, no way to spend them.
The only thing I've seen about the gold is to use it in the lottery thing that they have.
So again, they've changed it up. It used to be there were certain items you could buy with gold, but now you can just do lottery. So this is my biggest. I love this game, but my biggest problem are the microtransactions. And not for any other. So they are cosmetic, which is great. So you can go your whole life not buying anything and still have a great experience with Chess Rush. But the problem is they're exorbitantly expensive. Now they actually are a little better this season because the Gashapon machine is you're guaranteed to get a character if you spend on that. And I think 1 token is $3. And you're guaranteed to get a character. So that's a little better. But they had altered it before where you play the lottery and you could get permanent upgrades. And then at the start of season 2, all you could get were temporary cosmetics. And people complained and they changed it back. So whoever's coming up with the transactions on this are taking a very Electronic Arts approach of just do as much garbage as you can until people throw a fit and then go back and fix it. Their prices are really crazy to me, and their competitors are more reasonably priced. The Dragon Nest version of Auto Chess has some very reasonable prices on their stuff. Now, the other thing is that they do have a season pass, and its price, as you would expect, about $10, which you would see on just about any other game that has a season pass. And I'm grinding through that, and I'm getting some good stuff. But that's the exception as far as what I would consider an affordable microtransaction. Although, like I said, Gashapon's actually pretty cheap. It's $3, you get a roll, and you're guaranteed to get something new.
Yeah, the season pass, though, I've noticed, even doing it without purchasing the pass, the leveling on it is pretty substantial. It goes pretty quickly, which is very nice. So
yeah, and there's lots of challenges.
Purchase the season pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I did purchase the season pass from season 1, and I wish I didn't on that one just because I was bouncing between a bunch of games, and so I didn't really finish that one. But I'm on track to finish this current season with, getting everything without spending anything above the lowest buy-in, which is the $10 buy-in. And, I'm enjoying it. And so I think overall this season's better with their microtransactions. I just don't like the fact that they they put out really dumpy sort of practices and then just wait till people complain to fix them. I'd rather them come out with something cool to begin with, and everybody can be, oh, this is great. So that's all the complaint I have about this game, is just the microtransactions are not where they need to be. And of course they do that dumpy thing where you have to buy more currency than you want for an item. So if you want a Gashapon coin, I think they're 90 and you have to buy 130 coins to get it, so.
I don't like the initial UI when it comes to the
do we lose you?
The main menu.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's just like, mobile PUBG and some of these other ones we played, and I think this is, something with Tencent. They do, like, with all their mobile games that I've noticed so far, is their UI is just too crowded with so much crap. They've got their battle pass section, they've got their, their roll for
mm-hmm.
Their lottery thing that they've got in this game. They've got another section that's like another lottery type of thing. There's your friends section. How many? There's got to be at least, I think there's like 15 buttons on this front.
There
UI,
might be more,
right?
And that's fair. But I think compared to other games, it doesn't feel as cluttered to me because they're very minimalistic buttons around the border, and in the middle you have a really nice like indoor setting where your avatar is there, and in the middle is, you can see this sort of small model version of the board you have active. So I think that's fair, but I also think compared to other games, it's actually a lot cleaner.
I've noticed, in my day job, I work with high schoolers, so a lot of the games that we play, like, I end up talking to them about, like Call of Duty Mobile. And that's one of those things, I feel like these screens are just like jumble with a bunch of just junk on them.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that to them, they look at me like I'm an idiot. So I don't know if it's just because we're a little older, Scott, but like the high school kids I talk to, they're like, I never really see it like that. And I'm like, really? I feel like it's just too much crap going on. But like they never complain about that whenever I talk to them about games like this. But so it's kind of funny. I think it might be an old person thing that we have.
Yeah, I mean, we aren't that old. I mean, I guess we're like close to middle age.
But look, to 15-year-olds, we're ancient, man.
Scott.
To 15-year-olds, that's old.
Yeah.
You're in denial.
True.
You and I are middle-aged. I don't know how old Elliot is.
I'm 32.
You're not quite middle-aged, but Scott and I definitely are.
To 15-year-olds
next year, so.
To 15-year-olds, that's ancient,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, true.
Oh, trust me.
15-year-olds that don't listen to podcasts.
Actually, they do. It's a huge thing.
Well,
dude.
So,
yeah.
I found that people my age tend to love it, because they grew up with talk radio, and now it's just better talk radio.
They do, but man, they're really picky. They like all the mainstream stuff, like Joe Rogan, and then they'll have like one or two little things that like are kind of weird that they're into. But podcasting, they seem to be into it from when I talk to them about it. When it's brought up. So anyway,
Rogan. You know what?
He's got some.
I'm
going
to start a war with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, right. We're nothing to that, dude.
You suck, Joe Rogan. Come at me. Come on our podcast and. Actually, he's an MMA fighter. He would destroy me.
Yeah, he had Kevin Smith on last week. It was a good interview.
I apologize, Joe.
Do you want me to start something with him on Twitter? He probably won't even respond, but I'm willing to. I would.
He's actually quite the badass.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't listened to his podcast.
Neither have I.
Really have no desire to.
I listen when there's people that I like on it. That's what I listen to it.
There's just so many interview podcasts. It's like I got really disappointed when Conan's podcast came out and it was just interviews.
Oh, but it's good,
this isn't
man.
What I want.
His episode with Stephen Colbert is phenomenal.
I listened to that one.
All right, let's get back to the game.
Replayability.
I have not stopped playing this game. The amount of time it takes to learn all the strategies and different strategies and the element of randomness makes every game different. I love this game and there's no reason to not dive back into it. It's limitless replayability without spending 1 cent.
Yeah, and I mean, even the fact that we've only played really one mode and there's like I think there's like 4 to 6 other modes, something like that. There's quite a bit of replayability here that, we haven't even scratched the surface on, and just that fact alone just shows how much there is to this game.
Yeah, I don't really know what else to say other than it's just so much depth to it that I'm not tired of it. I've probably got 40 to 50 hours in it, and I keep coming back and I keep learning something new.
Judgment.
So this game is going to get my seal. I mean, I can't not give this my seal. I'm pretty sure I gave Underlords my seal. And this game is far superior to that game. So 100% my seal. I recommend this game. Elliot, how about yourself?
I think my line of thought is this speaks to the genre. I feel this genre is kind of bloated right now. I think there is a difference between this and Underlords, which is the only other one I've played. But when I look at the League of Legends one too, they just look so similar. The rounds kind of feel similar. So I think like whichever one you just find that you like and you just stick with. I don't think it's a bad game. I'm giving it my seal, but I don't know. I really would. I don't know. Maybe it's just not the game genre that is my choice.
And I think you're being fair. I think and I've played just about any one of these I can get my hands on. So I think that's a fair criticism. This is, to me, though, the best, at least on mobile.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're done. But,
no, I feel like the games are a little long for a mobile game. I don't know. It's not. I think it's fun. It gets my seal. I like it more than Underlords.
That was my biggest qualm with the Underlords, though, was I said the games were so long.
Yeah.
You've got at least 30 minutes.
I don't know if we played Underlords now, if I would give it my seal after playing this. You know what I mean?
Well, Underlords has changed a lot.
Yeah.
And for the worse, in my opinion.
I don't know. The genre is just weird.
It is, and it's still growing, right? It's still... We're still figuring it out.
Blizzard's trying to do their stupid version of it now too.
I
watched the video. It looks.
I think that will appeal to people who like Hearthstone, but as someone who likes auto battlers, that does not appeal to me. But to kind of go back to why I give Chess Rush my seal of approval is I think it's the best one I've played, and that may change when Teamfight Tactics comes out on mobile next year, but it looks better than everything else on the on Android. I don't know if they're probably Apple as well. And so my issue with Underlords now is that the UI, after playing so much Chess Rush, the UI on Underlords is garbage. And if you go to Auto Chess, which is still a great auto battler, but that game is ugly to look at. This game looks gorgeous. It plays great. Its presentation is off the charts for a mobile game. Again, my only criticism is the microtransactions, but you can completely ignore those and really have a great time and get addicted to a new genre.
So we didn't have any listener commentary this week, and mainly because you people aren't joining our Discord.
You people,
man, he gets so mad.
Yeah,
leave a bad review.
Yeah, so butthurt. You got to do it like this. It's like, hey man, maybe you want to join our Discord, whatever, man. It's fine. But we will if you play along with us and you want to give other people your opinion on the game. If you write in, we'll read it on the air, and have a conversation with you about it. So I think it's a missed opportunity if you're not joining our Discord to hang out and interact with us.
Yep. And also tell a friend about the podcast.
Yeah. And that's the thing that gets
those numbers.
I agree. So a lot of times people ask for 5-star reviews, and I'm sure they make a difference to Joe Rogan. But we're an indie podcast, and I think it means more that you say, hey, Jimson, my good buddy, I've listened to this podcast called Budget Arcade. That will go a long way.
All right, so next week we are going to actually doing something a little bit different.
Topless week.
Speaking to...
Every week.
Bottomless week.
Huh?
Also every week.
Oh, we're playing another. Oh, can we play Magic Chess Bang Bang next week? It's an auto battler on mobile.
So, yeah, next week we actually have a developer who gave us some codes for a paid game, and we're going to play that and review that.
Shills.
And then at the end of that episode, we're going to give you a chance to be able to win either a iOS version of the game or an Android version of the game.
EA, get at us. You want us to talk about how great Battlefront's microtransactions are? Just a little coin. Yeah.
All right. We want to thank everybody for joining us. If you're listening on wherever you're listening, drop us a review. Jeff said that it doesn't really matter, but everybody's always like,
I didn't say it
give us
doesn't
a review.
Really matter, but I think unless you're really getting like thousands of reviews, I'd rather you tell your buddy about us. But whatever, you do you. You can listen to Scott. Okay, so if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at Budget Arcade. We also have an Instagram at Budget Arcade. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Budget Arcade. And of course, you can head over to our website, www.budgetarcade.com, where we have write-ups and articles. And I know that the complaint that Elliot has is this game runs a little long each game. You can check out my review of NBA Now and NBA Live Mobile, where I have a pretty firm recommendation for one of those games. It has
a pretty sessions. Not firm recommendation for the other.
Yeah,
not to ruin it for you.
But go check it out.
Elliot, did you do a write-up for this game?
No,
this
I
week?
did not. I believe I texted you saying I didn't want to.
Oh, I didn't see a text for that.
Yeah. Selective.
Jeff?
Oh, please. It's the first time.
You want me to write something up?
It's the first time I said I didn't want to.
No, it's good.
Just transcribe. I'll write something. Lord help me. It'll be up in 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. After, whatever.
Yeah, well.
If you want to send us any hate mail, you can send it to show@budgetarcade.com. And music is by Stimmage. You can download his music at metroidmetal.com. And game on.
and I was grinding and saving and grinding and saving.